Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Ballava Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 8. New chapter. New chapter. Starting Chapter 8 today. Called The Churning of the Milk Ocean. So there's a chapter summary, preview of what is yet to come. So read that first. This chapter describes how The goddess of fortune appeared during the churning of the ocean of milk, and how she accepted Lord Vishnu as her husband. As described later in the chapter, when Dhanvantari appeared with a pot of nectar, the demons immediately snatched it from him. But Lord Vishnu appeared as the incarnation Mohini, the most beautiful woman in the world, just to captivate the demons and save the nectar for the demigods. Mohini is the Krishna's only, that I know of, only female incarnation. After Lord Shiva drank all the poison, both the demigods and demons took courage and resumed their activities of churning. Because of this churning, first a Surabhi cow was produced. Great saintly persons accepted this cow to derive clarified butter from its milk and offer this clarified butter in oblations for great sacrifices. Thereafter a horse named Uchai Shava was generated. This horse was taken by Bali Maharaj. Then there appeared Airavata and other elephants that could go anywhere in any direction, and she-elephants also appeared. The gem known as Kaustubha was also generated, and Lord Vishnu took the gem and placed it on his chest. Thereafter a Parijata flower and the Apsaras, the most beautiful women in the universe, were generated. Then the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, appeared. The demigods, great sages, Gandharvas, and others offered her their respectful worship. The goddess of fortune could not find anyone to accept as her husband. At last she selected Lord Vishnu to be her master. Lord Vishnu gave her a place to stay everlastingly at his chest. Because of this combination of Lakshmi and Narayan, all who were present, including the demigods and people in general, were very pleased. The demons, however, being neglected by the goddess of fortune, were very depressed. Then Varuni, the goddess of drinking, was generated. And by the order of Lord Vishnu, the demons accepted her. Then the demons and demigods, with renewed energy, began to churn again. This time a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, called Dhanvantari, appeared. He was very beautiful, and he carried a jug containing nectar. The demons immediately snatched the jug from Dhanvantari's hand and began to run away. And the demigods, being very morose, took shelter of Lord Vishnu. After the demons snatched the jug from Dhanvantari, they began to fight among themselves. The demons were fighting amongst themselves. Lord Vishnu solaced the demigods, who therefore did not fight, but remained silent. While the fighting was going on among the demons, the Lord himself appeared as the incarnation Mohini, the most beautiful woman in the universe. You know of Mohini Murti?
No, I heard a little bit about the story.
Sure. Well, okay, well, somewhere in this chapter we'll read. Okay, so first verse. Sri Shuka Uvacha Pite Gare Vrikshane Kan Pitaste Maradhanavaha Mamantus Tarasa Nisindum Harir Dhani Tato Bhavat
Adiskanitato Bhavat.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shuka Uvacha.
Pite Gore Vrikshan Kena.
Te Gare Vrishankena.
Pritaste Maradhanavaha.
Itaste Maradhanavaha.
Mamantus Tarasa Sindhum.
Mantu Tarasa Sindhu.
Harir Dhani Tato Bhavat.
Adiskanitato Bhavat.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shuka Uvacha.
Pite Gore Vishankena.
Te Gare Vrishankena.
Pritaste Maradhanavaha.
Itaste Maradhanavaha.
Mamantus Tarasa Sindhum.
Mantu Tarasa Sindhum.
Havirdani Tato Bhavat.
Adiskanitato Bhavat. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Te Gare Vrishankena.
Pite Gore Vishankena.
Itaste Maradhanavaha.
Pritaste Maradhanavaha.
Mantu Tarasa Sindhum.
Mamantus Tarasa Sindhum.
Adiskanitato Bhavat.
Havirdani Tato Bhavat. Word for word synonyms. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shukadev Goswami said,
Shri Shukadeva Goswami said,
Pite
Te
was drunk.
was drunk.
Gare
Gare,
when the poison.
when the poison.
Vrisha Ankena.
Isha Ankena.
My Lord Shiva who sits on a bowl.
By Lord Shiva who sits on a bull.
Pritaha,
Vidaha,
being pleased.
being pleased.
Te,
Te,
all of them.
all of them.
Amara,
Amara,
the demigods.
the demigod.
Danavaha,
Danavaha,
and the demons.
and the demons.
Mamantu
Amantu,
began to churn.
began to churn.
Tarasa,
Tarasa,
with great force.
with great force.
Sindhum,
Sindhu,
the ocean of milk.
the ocean of milk.
Havirdani,
Ardhani,
the Sarabi cow, who is the source of clarified butter.
the Surati cow, who is the source of clarified butter.
Tata,
Tata,
from that churning,
from that churning,
Bhavat
Abhavat
was generated.
was generated.
Shukadev Goswami continued, upon Lord Shiva's drinking the poison, both the demigods and the demons, being very pleased, began to churn the ocean with renewed vigor. As a result of this, there appeared a cow known as Sarabi. So repeat after me. Shukadev Goswami continued,
Shukadeva Goswami continued.
upon Lord Shiva's drinking the poison,
Upon Lord Shiva drinking the poison,
both the demigods and the demons,
both the demigods and the demons,
being very pleased,
being very pleased,
began to churn the ocean
began to churn the ocean
with renewed vigor.
with renewed vigor.
As a result of this,
As a result of this,
there appeared a cow
there appeared a cow
known as Sarabi.
known as Surati.
No, Sarabi. Okay. So, purport. The Sarabi cow is described as Havir Dani, the source of butter. Butter, when clarified by melting, produces ghee, or clarified butter, which is inevitably necessary for performing great ritualistic sacrifices. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 5, Yajna dana tapa karma na syajang karyam eva tat. Sacrifice, charity, austerity are essential to keep human society perfect in peace and prosperity. Yajna, the performance of sacrifice, is essential to Yajna, the performance of sacrifice, is essential. To perform yajna, clarified butter is absolutely necessary, and to get clarified butter, milk is necessary. Milk is produced when there are sufficient cows. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 44, cow protection is recommended. Shri Go Raksha Vanij Vaisha Karma Sambhava Jam Om Agyana Timiranda Shagina Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meditam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, Shubha mentioned a couple of verses here. So, this is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 5. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. So sacrifice has to be done. In fact, some sort of sacrifice. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita also says, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with facility for sacrifice, saying, by the performance of this sacrifice, will be all desirable things will be bestowed upon you. So Krishna gives us. He gives us everything is in this world, but if we want to actually get it, we perform sacrifice, proper sacrifice. Sacrifice means for the pleasure of the Lord. So sacrifice is necessary to have anything, even in ordinary life. If you want to succeed at something, there's some sacrifice. You want to get a good job in the material realm. You probably had to go get a good education, material education, right? You go to college and these things, which is a sacrifice. Anyone who's been through college knows it's a real challenge, unless you're super smart, and then maybe not so much. But generally, it's a big sacrifice to get that kind of education, but the real sacrifice is sacrifice which is performed specifically for the pleasure of the Lord, or the Sankirtan Yajna, means the Sankirtan sacrifice, which means chanting the holy names of the Lord. It means congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and teaching others. Working for us, that means working together cooperatively to give Krishna consciousness to others. This is sacrifice, and the reason it is a sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't always mean that I'm sacrificing. So therefore everything I'm doing is going to be miserable because it's a sacrifice. No, actually, proper sacrifice makes one happy. And maybe there will be difficulties, but the result will be happiness. That's a kind of sacrifice. And then and another kind of sacrifice, Srila Prabhupada mentions in that purport for the verse that we just read, the Bhagavad Gita verse, marriage is a sacrifice, which everyone it applies to everyone. Well, not everyone gets married, but most do. But it's a sacrifice. In Varnashram system, 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams, you know what Varnashram is. So Varnashram. So whatever order of life you happen to be in, even the Shudra class, the one sacrifice which applies to everyone, including those who are in the most lowest positions, is the marriage, and the purpose of marriage is that it requires marriage. The purpose of a marriage is that it requires that one man, one woman are together, and even if the mind goes crazy and says, find another one like that, you stay together and you work together to become God conscious, Krishna conscious. That's actually the sacrifice. In end of Kali Yuga, when things are really, really degraded, and we already see the symptoms of this now, and very common in material society, is that they have what's they call common law marriage. You just live together, that'll be the norm. That'll be the norm then, at the end of Kali Yuga. You live together for some time, say, okay, we're married, but then you get tired of who you're living with. Say, okay, well, I'm going down the street now, and you're going down the street, but then there's children, and it becomes a big mess, which it is right now, because this is already going on, but it'll be the completely normal then. Now it's looked down upon in society. End of Kali Yuga, it'll just be like the normal low-class society. But anyway, marriage is important, because if one's married and is living properly in married life, then they are going to be. It helps to make the mind peaceful, because there are certain material desires, and that combination of man and woman together will make especially if it's a God-centered marriage, then it makes a very good situation for keeping the mind peaceful and at the same time advancing on the spiritual path. That's the idea. And Srila Prabhupada writes in that purport that just like sannyasis who don't get married, not supposed to get married, that's a fall down for a sannyasi to get married. But still, a sannyasi might encourage those who are younger and who are spiritually younger to accept the married life, because the purpose we just said, it helped to keep the mind peaceful so that one can better focus on their spiritual pursuits. And Srila Prabhupada, in the very beginning of the movement, he had many disciples who were accustomed to living together previously. Everyone's living together, and nobody was married, but just it was a hippie life. So Srila Prabhupada, as soon as he started getting some followers who had a little trust in him, he said, okay, now you should get married. And he arranged the first marriages. Okay, you like this one, you get married. You like this one, you get married. But after some time, he stopped trying to make those kind of arrangements, because he was seeing that disciples were not very serious about that, and were not steady. Because he would perform fire, he would do the marriage, the fire sacrifice, everything for the wedding. And then after some time, oh, I don't like her. Well, I don't like him. Okay, now maybe we can go somewhere else. No, it was becoming crazy, and Srila Prabhupada he didn't like that. So he stopped trying to make arrangements. But in the beginning, he had to do something, because you got to start somewhere, like that. So And Srila Prabhupada also mentions in his purport, we're talking about the importance of milk, because if you want milk, then you have to, that also includes cow protection. Yes, there's a lot of milk. There's grocery stores. There's lots of milk there. There's lots of cows, but those cows, except for maybe somewhere something special exception, those cows are not protected. They're just being exploited to give milk, and when they can't give enough milk, then they are sent to the slaughterhouse. But in Vedic society, cow protection was considered extremely important. In fact, killing a cow was on the same level as killing a person in Vedic culture. And Srila Prabhupada, he wrote in the chapter, but it's in the first canto, Srimad-bhagavatam, and he was saying how several things. One thing about it is that if many things he said about cow protection, or not protecting the cows. If you don't protect the cows, and the cows are being exploited and killed and slaughtered in the slaughterhouses, then don't expect to ever have any peace in this world. It's not possible. It's not possible. There's so many planning commissions and so many, organizations in the world that talk about, okay, now somehow or other we got to have peace. At the same time, everyone's creating thousands and millions of nuclear bombs that have more than the opposing party, the opposing country. But all that tendency is generated because as a result of the karma which is being produced from things like killing animals, especially the cows, any animal, but especially the cow more than any other animal, and also in abortions, and so many other sinful activities that are going on in the world. So if you want to have a peaceful society, it seems like it's impossible now, but the principle is still there. If you want to have a peaceful society, then the cows and bulls is the same idea, have to be protected. And in modern material society, cow gets too old, it can't produce enough milk, then they say, okay, it's a pick the term. Anyway, the cow's not paying for herself by giving enough milk, so therefore we'll cut our losses and kill the cow. This is just a normal part of the material mentality. But that killing of the cows, if you kill the cow, and that means one or maybe many people will end up dying as a result of that. So therefore we have wars. Not just wars. We have so many calamities. Sometimes you hear in the news of landslide somewhere, and thousands of tons of rock just fell down the side of the mountain, and it killed 2,000 people in 10 seconds.
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters, yeah. So these things are happening because as a direct result of karma. And we don't know when something's going to hit like that. We don't know. And we don't know when, somebody may not be getting the karma from what they're doing this lifetime, they may be getting from what they did previous lifetime. But anyway, the cow protection, if all of a sudden all the people in the world, all the countries in the world just stop eating meat, then the cows will be and there's no more animal slaughter, no more animal slaughter, the whole world will change. Shishi Kona Jai, Shishi Radha Braja Vihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Vrishigade, Prahlad Maharaj, Ki Jai. The whole world would change. Of course, we don't expect this in Kali Yuga to happen. Things will tend to get more degraded, but the principle is there nonetheless. And the same thing with abortions. There's so much nonsense theories about was that child in the womb actually alive? At what month do they become alive? So at what point can we kill them and it's still okay? Because people in general don't have a practical philosophy. They're just doing what seems to them right. But we can't. We have imperfect senses. We have a tendency to cheat. We have so many imperfections as conditioned souls. So these things are. Although the answers to what we should do, what we shouldn't do is very clear from Vedic point of view, it is not clear to the people in general. So abortions are done. I don't know what the number is these days, but I'm sure how many millions and billions of abortions have been done. So then at the same time, all the countries are finding more and more ways to kill their enemies, and so that way everyone's becoming getting the reactions for these sinful activities. Fortunately, Srila Prabhupada has pointed these things out to those of us who have been fortunate enough to take up this path of Krishna consciousness, so that we can get out of that cycle. And then Srila Prabhupada made us some other points about milk and the importance of cows. Ghee, which we were reading in the purport, comes from sufficient milk, and at least in Vedic culture, fire sacrifices were something that were done every day. It's just common. It's just part of your life. And ghee means fire sacrifices mean you pour ghee. You don't go down to the market and get some whatever's out there, Zola oil or something, and pour it into this will burn too. No, the idea is we're offering it. The fire sacrifice means that the fire is Lord Vishnu is appearing in the form of the fire. And specifically, when we're pouring ghee and throwing grains into the fire, we're actually putting ghee and grains into the mouth of the Lord, who's appearing in that form. So our sacrifices, we're offering these things to the Lord. So maybe it's not as common now. For sure, it's not as common now as it was in thousands of years ago. But ghee is necessary nonetheless for this kind of performance. And then Srila Prabhupada also said that milk is also necessary for developing the finer brain tissues needed to understand spiritual subject matters. So I know a lot of people maybe can't take dairy products for various reasons. That's there, unfortunately. But still, milk is important. Milk is important, and there's a certain vitamin or something, I don't recall the name right off, in milk, which actually specifically is needed for this kind of brain development. Srila doesn't give the detail in the purport, but just that it's very important for developing the finer brain tissues needed for understanding spiritual subject matters. And then we have in the Srimad-bhagavatam is also mentioned that Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who first spoke with the Srimad-bhagavatam, that he would live only on milk.
Just milk or
Just milk.
products?
Huh?
Just pure milk or dairy products?
Milk. He said, drinking milk. He would drink. He said he would go. This is when people had cows. I mean, it was common. He wandered here and there, and he would stop off in the early morning when people were milking their cows, and accept bags of milk, and of course they would always give him some milk. So he would drink maybe he said a pound or two of milk. 2 pounds of milk means about a quart. So he would drink like that. And of course the milk then was probably a lot better than it is now. It's fresh milk, and it was probably different. But anyway, and of course Shukadeva Goswami was an extraordinary personality. Or not Shukadeva Goswami. But he lived just on milk. And oh yes, and the Surabi cows. So we have our cows here who are, well, cow protection here is important, obviously, but in the spiritual world, there are also cows. In fact, the cows here are just kind of perverted reflections of the spiritual cows. In the spiritual world, the cows are called Surabi cows. And Surabi cows are, they can give an unlimited amount of milk. Unlimited. They're spiritual cows. They can give unlimited amount of milk, and are very happy to give that milk. And of course, if you have an unlimited amount of milk, then you have an unlimited amount of butter and ghee. So we read about Krishna and his pastimes. Of course, all their cows were Surabi cows. Krishna brought the spiritual world with him when he comes to the material realm to perform his pastimes. He actually just brings his, expansions of the spiritual world there. So all those cows were Surabi cows, and there were a lot of cows. Nanda Maharaj himself had how many cows? 900,000 cows himself. 900,000, and that was just him. And all the other cowherd men in Vrindavan also had so many cows, and they were actually a very, very wealthy community, taking care of cows, farming like that. But they had unlimited amounts of milk, ghee, yogurt they would make, butter. Krishna's known as the butter thief. Krishna was very fond of stealing butter. And the gopis who he was stealing from were also very fond. They did not show it. They were very fond of seeing him steal the butter. They would be hiding. They'd be hiding. And Krishna would come in. Sometimes he'd come in with Balaram, and they're very small kids at the time, but they stack some pots up, stand up there because the butter's hanging from the ceiling where the monkeys are not supposed to get it. But Krishna would go in there, climb up, reach in, start taking out butter, which is being stored there, and feeding it to the monkeys. Krishna just feed the. Now these days, if somebody went in and here a monkey eats it, and they reach back in, they contaminated everything. I don't know. That was a concern then, but Krishna was feeding the butter to the monkeys, and nobody had any concern about the butter being, not having enough butter. Oh, you ruined me. You've given some butter to the, everyone was practically speaking wealthy because of this, because of the cows. So modern times, things are very different. But in Krishna's time, the cows, and the cows were also Krishna's pet animals. We have modern times. People have normally cats, dogs, some birds, a rabbit here and there, hamsters, different kinds of pets. But Krishna's special favorite animal were the cows. And Krishna actually appeared in a cow herding community, and he personally took care of the cows. So Krishna would take, every day Krishna would go out, and once he got, I'm not sure what age he was, but he was still very young, and he would go out with all his friends, and they would take all of Nanda Maharaj's cows and calves out to the pasturing grounds. So you can imagine a young child, Krishna, going out there and keeping track of hundreds of thousands of cows all day. And they weren't just watching the cows. They're out there while the cows are grazing, thousands, probably millions of cows, because the other boys also were taking care of cows. The cows were grazing, and the boys were there playing. They were still boys, so they're playing different games and wrestling with each other, and seeing. And Krishna was killing demons that would keep coming to try to kill him. So every day he was killing a different demon, like that. And then at the night they'd go back, bring all the cows back to their cow sheds, which were many cow sheds because there were a lot of cows, like that. And Krishna, of course, he showed the importance of cow protection, because rather than appearing in a Brahmana family or Kshatriya family, he appeared in a Vaishya family, specifically taking care of the cows. So we were talking about cows because one of the first things that came out of the churning of the milk ocean after the poison was taken care was drank by Lord Shiva, one of the first things was a cow, a Surabi cow. And so anyway, there's a few points. Any questions?
So Surabi is just the word for the spiritual cow.
It's a type of cow. Yes. Yeah. Now Krishna's cows, they all had personal names too. Krishna, all of them, and he knew all their names, and he would call them by name. So we can't imagine. It's beyond us. The Krishna is beyond us. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doing wonderful things, and showing those wonderful things that he's doing to attract us to want to come back to him. So this is Krishna. So all the cows are Surabi cows, which means they're spiritual cows. They give unlimited milk, and they're actually all devotees of Krishna. So they're not just ordinary cows. Cow in the material world, cow is in the animals. The cow is one of the highest animals, one of the highest births, animal births. But they're suffering their karma, some kind of karma from before. It's still an animal birth. They're suffering their karma. A lot of the cows will be slaughtered like that. So it's karma. But Krishna's cows, of course, were Surabi cows. They're always Krishna's fully protecting them, and they gave unlimited milk, and they were all his devotees. They're actually all his devotees. So they all loved him, like as just like there's 5 kinds of rasas. The first rasa, the lowest rasa, is a neutral relationship. Neutral relationship means you don't really do much, but you have a certain feeling. You have an emotional feeling or like that. You're appreciating Krishna. So the cows would very much appreciated Krishna. They liked being with him, like licking him, like that. They liked they just like loved being around Krishna. These are the cows. So they really enjoyed. That was their rasa. It was a neutral relationship. Above that, then there's servitorship, which is human type rasas. But the cows, not just the cows, the trees, the rocks. Everything in the spiritual world is conscious, and sometimes devotees appear in those forms, and they Krishna performs his rasa dance, then the trees act in certain ways. Sometimes the trees actually bow down and all gives Krishna some fruits, like that. They're all conscious, and they're there for Krishna's pleasure only. So you can become a tree in Krishna Loka if you want. But Srila Prabhupada didn't really encourage becoming trees. He encouraged, become Krishna conscious and engage in some kind of rasa, personal rasa with Krishna. And it seems that the most common rasa was like Krishna with the gopis. But it doesn't have to be with Krishna with the gopis. We maybe we're inclined in something else. That's another whole subject, not related to this verse today. Nobody made a comment today. Nobody came to the class. But anyway, any other questions? Okay, so we'll end for today. Tomorrow is Friday. So Friday we're reading Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. Srila Prabhupada ki